So here is the review you were actually expecting. So number five, we have a credibly. Our score 8.5 over 10. So when you think about LLC startup business loans that are pulling Experian for fast approval, credibly is an important player. And we love them for their working capital loans. They're really fast. Okay, with credibly, you are looking at a loan amount that can go all the way to $400,000. This is really important. And if you have an LLC startup business, then you could actually qualify for this loan. And minimum credit score is 500. If you have 500, 550, you could qualify. And in terms of time to funding, you're looking at the same day. I mean, if you have all the paperwork and they love your business model, they love your industry, they will fund you the same day. And what we love about Credibly is that they're not asking for a lot of documents. Okay, as a matter of fact, they are asking you to have a 3 to 6 months minimum time in business to qualify. Okay, and but they want you to have an average of $15,000 in monthly bank deposits to actually qualify. So basically, if you're looking for an LLC startup business loan that pulls Experian, then you need to have $15,000 to actually qualify. Now, if you have 10 grand, you can still qualify, because last month, as a matter of fact, we closed several deals with Credibly, and but what they were looking at, they will look at your business plan. You need to have a business plan, and they will look also at your financial projections. So if you have an LLC startup and you're looking for a loan, it doesn't matter if you have a revenue or no revenue. Make sure that you have financial projections that talk about where you see yourself, where you see the business, let's say 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or 1 year from now. All of those things are important. Okay, so credibly, our score 8.5 over 10. We love their working capital loans. If you have an LLC startup and you are looking for a business loan that pulls Experian, especially if you're looking for a working capital loan, that is a loan to actually fund the day-to-day operations of the LLC startup, then credibly could be a great candidate for you. And just make sure that you have all the paperwork ready, because they are really fast. If they love your business model, they'll fund you real quick. But yeah, so make sure you have the paperwork. Number four, we have Blue Vine. Our score 8.9 over 10. So when we think about Blue Vine is really interesting, because if you are looking at an LLC startup business loan that pulls Experian for fast approval, Blue Vine is really interesting because originally they will give you a business line of credit. Now, we have had cases where if you say, listen, I don't like the business line of credit model, I want to have a business loan for my LLC startup, then they can actually convert. What they do is they will convert that business line of credit into a business loan for you. Now, they don't do it all the time. It will depend on the geography, it will depend on the states you're applying from. It will depend on your business model, and it will also depend on the solidity of your business loan application. Okay, and everything has to start with you calling Blue Vine to make sure that they are comfortable financing your specific business. And we do this all the time, where Blue Vine will actually convert their business line of credit into a business loan. And but again, the same procedure applies here. You gotta have a business plan. You need to have financial projections. Okay, and Blue Vine is a little stricter in terms of their LLC startup business loans. What they will want you to have is that they will actually want you to connect your bank account to their systems, so they can actually see in real life, in real time rather. They will see in real time all the transactions that are happening into your account. So this is really important. Blue Vine is not going to ask you a lot of documents. As a matter of fact, they are one of the best low doc LLC startup business lenders that we have, that we see. But hey, listen, they want to check things themselves. So all they care about is your cash flows, your cash inflows and cash outflows. So by connecting your system to their system, they'll be able to see in real time, to monitor in real time what's really happening in your account. They use a system called Plaid, and I think they use some other players also that actually allow them to have access to your account. So for the loan amount for your LLC startup, we are looking at up to $250,000. Okay, and for the APR range, you have simple interest rates starting at 6.20% for a 6-week repayment term. Okay, for the term month, as I said here, we have 6 to 12 months. You got to have minimum credit score of 625. But with Bluevine, the time to funding, we're looking at 1 to 3 business days. So it is totally great. Bluevine, our score 8.9 over 10. Our number 4 for LLC startup business loans, pulling Experian for fast approval. Number 3 here, we have Funding Circle. Our score 9.1 over 10. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about LLC startup business loans that are pulling Experian for fast approval. Okay, and when you think about Funding Circle, we love the fact that they will give you long-term loans real fast. So if you have an LLC startup and you are looking for a business loan for that LLC startup, and you want a real fast and a large loans also, Funding Circle will take care of you. So in terms of APR, we love their APR range here. You're looking at the 11.29% to 30.12%. Okay, and the loan amount 25,000 to $500,000. And in terms of the window, the repayment window, you are looking at 6 to 84 months. So this is really good. You're looking at 6 months all the way to 7 years. Fantastic. Minimum credit score will go from 600 to 660. Okay, so the time to Funding Circle, 5 days. That's one thing we don't like about Funding Circle. Sometimes they will take forever just to approve to review and approve your application. Okay, and especially if you catch them, if you unfortunately catch them in a bad, let's say in a bad episode. In other words, they have a backlog of applications. You could be there for a while. So what I suggest you do is to give them a call first. Before even starting anything, give them a call and make sure that they are comfortable, they have time, they have the bandwidth to actually have the resources to process your application right now before even doing anything. Okay, so here are the pros and cons of Funding Circle in terms of your LLC startup business loan. Pros: you have loans available from 25 grand to $500,000. You have no prepayment penalties. We love that a lot. And what about the cons? In some cases, in some states, Funding Circle will require collateral. Okay, and the average Funding Circle borrower will make about $1 to $1.4 million in annual sales. Now, having said that, even if you have no revenue, you can actually be approved. It's all about how you apply the strength of your business plan, the strength of your financials. Okay, but overall, we love the fact that you can use the Funding Circle loan to do anything, to actually finance your payroll, to take care of long-lasting investments such as machinery or business acquisition, a lot of things for your LLC startup business loan. Not a problem. Number 2, we have On Deck, our score 9.6 over 10. So for your LLC startup, if you are looking for a business loan that pulls Experian, On Deck is a great player. Okay, what we love about On Deck is that, On Deck is one of the underestimated players in the industry right now. They are really great for LLC startups, especially if you're looking for business loans, short-term business loans, long-term business loans. They will take care of you. Okay, and we love the fact that On Deck is constantly improving their offer for short-term business loans. So they have an APR that it's kind of high though, but they are very generous. So their APR starts at 29.99%. So it's kind of high, but the loan amount goes from $5,000 to $250,000. The reason why the APR is that high is because they are serving a market that is untested, a market that's risky at best. Think about it. If you have an LLC startup, what are your odds of actually making it to the second year, to the third year, to the fourth year? So you do have a constellation of unknowns that On Deck is trying to navigate by charging a high APR. And this just makes sense. Okay. So in terms of the term here, you are looking at up to 24 months. Okay. This is a minimum credit score, 600 to 625. And now the only thing is On Deck does charge a an origination fee that's 4%. Okay, now you have to be comfortable with that. If you're willing to pay this, but to get your $250,000 funding, hey, listen, go ahead. And time to funding 1 to 3 business days. And so this is what it is now. When you think about on deck in general for your LLC startup, it is a great player. Okay, because short-term loans in general have repayment terms of a few months to a year or more, good for when you expect a quick return on what you're investing in with the loan funds. So if you have an LLC startup and you are sure about your business model, you are sure about your industry, you're sure that you probably have some buyers lined up in your queue, in your portfolio, then go ahead and get an on deck loan. Okay, and so on deck is really fast, up to 3 business days. Have your paperwork ready before you apply. Number 1, the best of the best in our view, Takeover Financial. Our score 9.9 over 10. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about LLC startup business loans pulling Experian for fast approval. And the top 5, by the way, top 5. So Takeover is our pick for equipment financing. So if you're looking for, let's say, equipment financing for your LLC startup business, Takeover is a great player to consider. And so Takeover, you are looking at an APR that ranges from 3.49% to 28%. And loan amounts can be very generous. They can be very, very generous, up to $2 million. Okay. And the term 12 to 84 months, and minimum FICO score 550. And the cool thing is that they do have, they will actually typically fund you within 24 hours. So if you have an LLC startup and you are looking for equipment financing, Takeover does other stuff also, but equipment financing is really their forte. Okay. And so the only thing is that in some cases they require a down payments, but they based on the state you're applying from, and they might actually also require you to be in business for 1 or 2 years, depending on the state you're applying from. But overall, they will accept you even if you're an LLC startup. In other words, you're a brand new business, because you know why? Because the equipment that you are going to use to, the equipment that you are going to finance with the loan is basically the collateral. So they don't really care about what happens with the equipment itself, because they know if something were to happen, they can always repo the equipment, the assets, and actually recoup their losses. Okay, so this is kind of one thing you need to understand here is that when we talk about equipment financing, we're not just speaking about machinery. We're not just speaking about things like a car, a business car. No, you can also think about facilities. Let's say you want to open a restaurant. You want to have an office copier. The cool thing is that you have a constellation of assets that Takeover Financial is going to help you finance and actually help you get your startup LLC off the ground, because that's what you need. The very first, you need someone to believe in you, to take a chance on your LLC startup, and Takeover is willing to do that. If you have made it so far, I want to really reward you with bonuses. And so there are 2 other players that we love a lot in our research. So in terms of ALC startup business loans that are pulling Experian, I want to share with you right now. We have National Funding, which is another player that we love a lot. And National Funding, our score 8.4 over 10. And but the thing is that National Funding is a different animal. If you were to use the proverbial phrase here, the thing is that they will finance your business expansion loan. So basically, if you have an LLC startup, and at some point after starting, you want to expand real quick because you have seized opportunity. You want to seize opportunities because you have actually signed up a big contract with a third party, and you need funding to actually get off the ground. National Funding is your go-to player here, and they have an APR that starts at 4.99%, and the loan amount can be up to $150,000. Okay, the term here you have 3 to 5 years, so 36 to 60 months. This is kind of cool. Minimum credit score is 650. This is really good also. Now, in some cases, they will work with you if you have a minimum credit score of 600. Remember, when we speak about business lending, startup business lending in general, those are regulated at the state level. So you could be in a state that has less stringent business lending rules, so you could qualify. Okay, now in terms of national funding, they do charge some fees. They have something called documentation fee. They have origination fees also, depending on the transaction. But overall, what we love about national funding is that they will approve you real fast. We love national funding because again, it's all about fast approval, especially if you have an LLC startup. Just make sure you have the basic documentation that is needed. You have you will need, for instance, you will need to have a business plan. You'll need to have financial projections. You'll need to have everything that says that your LLC is legit. So your LLC startup is legit. Okay, so your articles of organization. You need to have your certificate of good standing. If you are in an industry that requires business licenses and permits, make sure you have those. Okay, it's all about making sure that you are legit and that you look legit. I want to share with you another player that is Fora Financial. We love Fora Financial a lot because Fora Financial, our score 8/10. Okay, and Fora Financial is our pick for emergency startup business loans. So for your LLC, so stuff happens. You probably just started. You can probably start your LLC right now, and stuff happens, and you need some cash to really take care of business. Fora Financial is there for you. They will provide the emergency funding that you need for your LLC startup. And Fora Financial, they have, in terms of their APR, they actually use a model called the factor because they are originally a factoring agency, a factoring company. So they have a factor rates that start at 1.10%. But it doesn't matter. You can actually get them. You can actually talk to Fora for traditional LLC startup business loans. Okay, and they will pull Experian for fast approval. In terms of loan amount, they will approve you all the way to $1.4 million, and the months they are really generous also, up to 15 months. So we love that a lot. Okay, minimum credit score 500, and what we love about Fora Financial is that they will approve you real fast. Within 72 hours, they can approve you. This is really good. Now, just watch out for the fees that they charge on the loan. So they will charge you an origination fee of 2.5% of the loan amount, or $300, whichever is higher. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, in terms of pros and cons, let's just explore real quick the pros and cons of Fora Financial as an LLC startup business lender. So pros: only 6 months in business, and no collateral is ever required. So this is really fine. What about the cons here? No open bankruptcies, and you must have, in some cases, you must justify at least $12,000 in gross sales, either on a projected basis or actual basis. This is why, going back to what I said, make sure you have your financial projections. Okay, and we're talking about a full stack of financial projections. Don't be lazy here. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just make sure that you reach out to someone who does. It's all about making sure that your LLC startup actually has a great business plan, a compelling set of financial projections that talks about where you see yourself, where you see the business, and all that kind of stuff. So this is really important. Okay, to not take it lightly, because Fora Financial is known to be very thorough, and they will check everything before approving you. So be diligent, and be diligent. Okay. All right, let me just give you let's just talk about an overview here. Let's have a conversation about the overview, so you're clear about what you do and how to do things before you move up the ladder. Now, the ladder in terms of LLC startup business loan approval. So if you want to get an LLC startup business loan, here is the application that you need to have. So in some cases, they want you to have financial projections. Okay, so you need to have your income statement, your projected income statement, your projected balance sheet, your projected cash flow statement, and your projected owner's equity statement. So really, we're looking at it can be 1 year, it can be 2 years, it can be 3 years, it can be 5 years. The most important thing is to communicate to the lender that you do have vision, that you expect your LLC to have what we call in accounting going concern, that you will be around for many, many years. They might ask you to have past bank statements, okay? And they will want to see the legal filings related to ownership. So information on existing debts, business licenses and permits if applicable. But a business plan is really important, okay? And so do avoid some common small business loan mistakes. So failed applicants commonly make the mistake of submitting inadequate or poorly planned financial documents and business plans. It's important, therefore, to gather as much well-prepared information as you can when applying for an LLC startup business loan. Okay, this is really important. And one thing I also want to say here is that I want to give you a few pro tips. So what are LLC startup business lenders looking for? So really, they look for a constellation of things. They look at your time in business. Obviously, if you're an LLC startup, you probably have less than a year in operational history. But hey, listen, they'll actually evaluate this they'll do this on a case-by-case basis. So they will look at your credit score. They will look at your cash flows, and on your cash flows, this can be on an actual basis or a projected basis. Don't worry if you have no revenue, you can still qualify for an LLC startup business loan if you know how to apply. They might ask you from collateral depending on the states you're applying from, and also the particulars of your specific industry. And they'll look at your debt to equity ratio. This could be on a projected basis also. And in some cases, the lender will look at your working capital if you do have one. Okay, so those are things you need to think about. Before we do a recap here, I want to acquaint you with our loan evaluation approach. We do have a strict method on this show when evaluating, categorizing, and listing LLC startup business lenders. So please check this out. Let's quickly do a recap here. So the top 5 LLC startup business loans pulling Experian for fast approval. Number 1, we have Takecore Financial, 9.9 over 10. Number 2, we have OnDeck, 9.6 over 10. Number 3, we have Funding Circle, 9.1 over 10. Number 4, we have Bluevine, 8.9 over 10. Number 5, we have Credibly, 8.5 over 10. And in the bonus category, we have 2 extra lenders we want to share with you. We have a National Funding, 8.4 over 10, and Fora Financial, 8 over 10. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.